Hey, it's Kay, and this is the KA Show. Recently, I was having a conversation online about corporal punishment, basically spanking, whooping, whatever, your children. I have very, very strong views about this. In my opinion, there's no need to hit your children. There's just no need to do it. I know that a lot of people say, oh, you don't have any kids, so you can't talk about it. But I was a kid and I never got hit. So I know that it's possible. My parents never hit me, not once. So my views on this are that people should not hit their children. I understand that it's legal. I understand that people are going to do it. And I'm not saying that if you do it, you're a bad person necessarily. I'm not saying that at all. But my opinion is that there are other methods of discipline. So I make a post on Facebook saying something about corporal punishment, like, there are better ways to discipline your children, something like that. There was a lot of support. There were definitely people that support it, but there was also lots of pushback. Lots. One of the main things that I saw people saying is that sometimes children need to be hit. They need to be hit. So that really makes me think, in what other situation in life do you get hit for not doing what you're supposed to do? Where else? Imagine if you walked into your job and your boss just took off their belt and hit you. Imagine if a woman didn't do the dishes and her husband came home and gave her a whooping. Would that be okay? We can all agree that that would not be okay. So why is it okay to hit someone who is smaller than you, who is weaker than you, who trusts you with their lives, who you would do anything for? Why is it okay to hit that person? Again, I know that it's legal. It's a legal form of violence, honestly. Because when you hit someone, that is violence. I know the word violence can trigger some people. I know that people don't like to think of what they're doing as violence. I know that people say, oh, it's not violence. All I do is, swat them a couple of times or, whatever the case may be. But there are lots of other things that can be done. In this day and age, there's so much information. We have the world at our fingertips. We have Google. We have books. We have the ability to reach out to literally professionals online in terms of child psychology and all of these types of things. There are resources that people can go to if they're not sure what to do. There's proof that corporal punishment actually has negative outcomes for children. We know this. We know that being hit as a child translates into certain things for some people, such as low self-esteem, depression, things like that, problems with relationships, problems with communicating. We don't want that for our kids. I'm sure no one wants that for their kids. People want their kids to grow up as happy and as healthy as possible. So instead of hitting them, there are other things you can do. If we know that hitting your children is not only painful for them, and let's stop there. Why would you want to cause physical pain to someone that you love? Again, where else does this happen in your life? Where else do you cause physical pain to someone against their will because they did something wrong? It just doesn't even make any sense to me. And the only people who we get to do this to legally are children. The ones who need to be protected the most. The ones who need to be taught other ways of conflict resolution. The ones who need to be taught not to lash out with violence when something doesn't go their way. And to be honest, I think a lot of the times when people hit their kids, it's more so about their own personal feelings of anger. Like, oh my goodness, I was disrespected. I feel bad, so I'm gonna hit this kid. Because really, I know that there are conversations you can have along with the hitting. I know that that's something people like to say. They'll say, well, I always talk to them first, or I talk to them after. So why are we trying to attach physical pain to these life lessons? That's not how real life works anywhere else. So what are we preparing them for? What are we teaching them? That the people that love you the most should be causing you physical and emotional pain when they are hitting you for making a mistake or for doing something that you weren't supposed to do? Let's say there's a pattern of behavior that a child is displaying. Who can we blame for that? Who do we blame? Do we blame the child, or do we take a closer look at what the parents have been doing? I think we take a closer look at what the parents have been doing. Because if your children are constantly disobeying you, obviously the method of hitting them when they disobey you is not working. If whooping your children worked that well, you wouldn't have to do it so often. It would be a one and done situation. But instead, this becomes something that people do as one of their primary methods of discipline. And that is problematic because we know the negative effects that it can have on a child. We know the negative effects that it can have on a child as they grow into teens and adults. So we don't want to put that off onto children. We want children to be raised in a way that they can solve conflicts without violence, that they don't think that it's okay for violence to be committed against them if they do something wrong, or for violence to be committed against them if they are in a relationship, let's say. Hitting children sends the wrong message to the child. They can grow up and they can think love and pain go together. And I know that when you're in love or if you're in a relationship, there will be hurtful things that happen. But abuse should not be one of them. Violence should not be one of them. But if you grow up thinking that people who love you the most can physically harm you, that can absolutely translate into problems when you get older and try to have relationships with people, or friendships with people, or just interactions with people. You have to learn how to teach your children to be functional and obedient and do what they need to do without causing them physical harm or pain. Another thing that I hear about this is, oh, I don't hit them when I'm mad. Because we all know that if you're upset, you're probably going to hit a little harder. Just realistically, if we're being honest, how many people are happy when they're hitting their children? How many? Like, what do y'all think? How many people are happily hitting their kids? I'm not convinced that this is a large segment of people. So if you're angry and you're hitting someone, you're going to be hitting them harder. You're not necessarily going to know how hard you're hitting them. You're going to be causing physical pain to a child. You can't even do that with adults that are your own size. So why would you want to do that to a child, a small child? To me, that doesn't make any sense. None. And I know people have all the reasons in the world for why they hit their kids and that their kids are fine and they turned out fine. I have no doubt that children who are hit can turn out fine. I know this. But if the only result of it is they think that they can then hit their children and this cycle is just going to keep going on forever and ever and ever, then did they really turn out fine? But you know what? I don't know. People are going to live their lives how they want. They are going to whoop their kids if they want. If they got whooped and they feel like they turned out okay, they're going to think that it's okay to continue doing that. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? I am totally against it. Totally against it. And it's not just because I don't have kids. I'm against it because as a child, I was never hit. So I know that it's possible. I know that there are other ways of disciplining. Be sure you subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, and I will see you later.